Hello, we are starting unit number 2, which is about parts of a society. There are 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A society is a large group of people that live together. There are 5 parts of a society that we're going to learn about: social, political, interaction, culture, and economics. Lesson 1. S stands for social. Social is how a large group of people live together. That's family, class structures, social mobility and barriers, gender roles and relations, racial and ethnic constraints, freedom and rights, and urbanization. So here are some different ways to think of it. So we have social in the middle. Social has to do with family, class, race, and freedom. So when you think about families, we think about how old people are, grandparents, moms and dads and kids. We think about men and women in family. Then we think about class. Class has to do with money and power. So you have the rich, the middle class, and people who do not have as much money and would be considered poor. We also talk about race. Race is maybe being Latino, Asian, Black, and white. If you're Latino, there are many different types of people who are Latino, different races, ethnicities: Mexican, El Salvadorian. In Asian, there is Korean, Chinese, and Thai, and many more. Same with Black, Somali, Nigerian. And race is also very complicated because people are often more than one race. Sometimes people are white and Latino. Sometimes people are Black and Asian. So race is very complicated. And then with social, we also talk about freedom. What kind of freedoms do people have? Do people have the freedom to vote? Do they have a house? Do they have freedom to get medicine, go to school, or get food? So all of these parts are part of social, which is how people live together. So you looked at some pictures before the lesson, and you made observations about the pictures. So you thought about what you saw. And you saw a lot of different examples of how people live together. So this was a quinceañera. This was girls going to school. A big city, which is different than a smaller town. And then we have a family with grandparents and parents and children, male and female, and every society looks different. So that's what you observed in the pictures. So when we're learning about a society and how they work together socially, we ask ourselves some questions. What do people do together? What are the family relationships? How do they live together? How do they communicate? Are there any inequalities? So are people not always equal? Are there different social classes? Do some people have more power and some people have less power? So this is a paragraph, and we're going to practice finding examples of social in the paragraph. So nearly all marriages in India are arranged by family elders who choose husbands or wives for their children based on power, money, and education. However, non-arranged love marriages have become more common in cities. The bride typically moves to the husband's household. Traditionally, women are expected to treat their husbands as if they were gods. The obedience of wives to husbands has remained a strong social norm in India. Within families, there is a clear social order of ranking and influence based on gender and age. Males have a higher status than females, and older people have a higher status than younger ones. Women who have sons enjoy greater power. Gender inequality is a problem in India. Married couples want a male child. Boys are wanted for economic reasons. Parents expect that when sons grow up, they will help support them in an old age. A son remains within the family and carries on the family name, unlike a daughter who joins her husband's family upon marriage. Girls Girls, on the other hand, are widely seen as a burden because they require dowries when they are married. A dowry is money, goods, or land that the bride's family gives the groom or his family. So in this paragraph, we think about social. How are people living together? So what do people do together? What is their family like? How do they live? Are there people who have more power or less power? So when I look at this paragraph, I see a lot of examples. For example, 1, nearly all marriages in India are arranged by family elders who choose husbands or wives for their children based on power, money, and education. So this has to do with social. So if someone wants to get married, their parents pick who they marry, and the parents pick based on how much money that person has, how much power that person has, and how much education that person has. So just because you think someone would be good for you to get married, your parents in India may not pick them if they don't have enough money or enough power. Here's another example. However, non-arranged love marriages have become more common in cities. So in a society, in a bigger city, people have started to say, no, mom and dad, I'm going to pick who I marry because I love them. And that's becoming more common. So things are changing. 3, males have a higher status than females, and older people have a higher status than youngers. So this is also another example of social, saying that if you're a man, you have more power than a female in this society. And also that if you're older, you have more power than someone who's younger in the Indian society. So these are all examples of social. Remember, social is how a large group of people live together.